Hi, and welcome to MK Unpacked. I'm your host, Claire Feniger, and today I am joined by Tasha Solano. How are you, Tasha?
I'm good, Claire. How are you?
Good. I love that you're on because not only are you friends with Rochelle, which is just such a fun connection, but I think we met a long time ago in Nicaragua, which is just so random to have someone I
I
saw
know.
once now be on my podcast. So
Definitely, definitely. Shout out to Shelly.
Tasha, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and where you're going.
Hi, my name is Natasha Solano. I am an MK. I was born in Grand Rapids, Michigan, and then when I was 3 years old, my family decided to move to Managua, Nicaragua, and I grew up there my whole life. And then in 2023, I decided to attend Wheat College. And currently, I am in my third year. I'm a junior, and I'm on study abroad in Mexico.
And tell us a little bit about your major because I think it just perfectly explains your heart and then also just how you see people. So just share that a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. I decided to major in anthropology. I remember being in high school, not totally sure what I wanted to do, and a little bit torn between my interests in history and psychology, but then I found out about anthropology and just the study of, for people that don't know, because a lot of sometimes people don't know and they ask me, um, it's the study of humans and their cultures, especially specifically cultural anthropology. Also, things like linguistics and archaeology and biological anthropology are tied in. I've mostly been studying cultural anthropology. And being an MK and being a TCK, I've just grown up surrounded by different cultures and being able to see the differences, the connections, being able to bridge different cultures. So anthropology was just like the perfect fit for me. And I love just learning about God's creation and it's perfect. I love it.
Yeah, it fits so well with your story, and I'm so excited to see what God does with that. So tell us a little bit about your family, the mission work you've done. Where do you learn Spanish, and how does that all fit into who you are today?
Yeah, so my mom is Kelly Solano and she's from Michigan. And she's born and raised in Kalamazoo, Michigan. And my dad, his name is Jairo, and he's from Nicaragua. And he grew up there his whole life. And my mom went down to Nicaragua when she was about my age. And she started working at this Christian school. And they moved to the United States and had my brother and I. And so that's part of my identity, being half Nicaraguan, being half American. And so I learned Spanish from my parents when I was very young. We lived in the States for a couple years before moving to Nicaragua, and my parents were um, definitely wanted us to learn Spanish. And then when I was 3 and my brother was 7 years old, we moved down to Nicaragua, and they started their mission. My mom became a teacher at the same school. She's been teaching for 20 years, I think, and I think she has a degree in elementary education and special ed as well. So she works at NCA. She also works at a school for children with special needs called Tesoros de Dios or God's Treasures. And they also have my dad, like the ministry that is in Mombachito. Mombachito is a rural community in um, the central region of Nicaragua. And my dad works with farmers in this area in economic development, community development, and evangelism. And recently they built a mission house and they've started to host teams. So it's been really exciting for them and a new step. But yeah, I grew up with them always working in missions. My dad used to be a mission teams coordinator, so I grew up around short-term mission trips and all these things. But yeah,
Yeah, and you mentioned when we first talked, missions teams being down in Nicaragua all the time, and you're
yeah,
oh, you're coming for a week to do missions, but I do missions my whole life. What does that balance look like? And how did you kind of
Yeah,
reconcile that?
it's interesting. I Short-term missions is always like a tricky topic with some people. Growing up around it, it's it's been great to see. I love to see the experiences that people have and kind of getting to show them a little slice of my life, or most of the times they haven't been to Latin America or been to Nicaragua, so it's always fun to um, see that experience and watch God work through these people and impact them, um, and God work through the people that they're serving as well. But yeah, it's interesting as like that is my whole life feels like a mission trip. And it's, yeah, so it's interesting to see people come and just be here for a short time, but then like I stay, and it's really cool. I think definitely it's an amazing experience to, and it's a blessing to be able to um be a part of that. But it's very interesting to see the different perspectives.
Yeah. And can you speak a little bit too of, you're the first guest where I've had that the parent is like from the country that they're in. So
Yeah.
like I've had some guests where like their family has gone there continually through the generations, but your dad is Nicaraguan. So what does that look like? Is it and how would you encourage
Yeah.
someone listening who's like, oh, maybe I just want to kind of stay at home and serve the people around me?
It's definitely been interesting for me because I grew up with a ton of other missionary kids, but never the only other missionary kid that I know whose parents serve in the country that one of their parents is from is my brother. So there's very few people that I know, but it's an interesting dynamic of choosing to serve in your own country. And part of it was such a blessing to be able to grow up with my dad's family and grow up my dad's home my dad's home, and learning his language and everything. And so I definitely felt like a homesickness for the United States and everything, but also fully understanding like, oh no, Nicaragua is my home, and it's also who I am. It's also half of 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 me. So that's really cool, and it's especially beautiful to see the people that my parents work with and who their ministry impacts, and know that I also have a connection to them, that I'm not entirely a stranger, but we share a language and we share a culture. And I also think sharing a culture with the people that you serve definitely has its benefits. And it advantage or perspective um, on how to serve with these people. But I have loved it, and it's tricky being torn between two places, but it's also so wonderful to. I'm so proud of being mixed and bicultural and whatever. Um, Being able to combine those things has been really special for me.
That is really special. And I love this episode too because my brother is Nicaraguan. We adopted him from Nicaragua. That's why I lived there. So getting to hear more about his country is just so special to me. So tell me a little
Yes.
bit
Oh,
more
I love
about
that.
Nicaragua. Just paint it for us and share like
Oh,
what are the people like and everything.
yeah. Oh, I could be here for hours. I love anyone. You can ask anyone. I just love talking about Nicaragua. I could talk your ear off. It's a very small Central American country. It's right between Honduras and Costa Rica. We have it's it's small, but it is the biggest country in Central America. We have a very warm climate, very tropical. It's very hot over there right now, but we also have a very warm culture. And the people in Nicaragua are I mean, obviously I'm biased, but they are some of the nicest and kindest people. Especially people in rural communities. It's just such a warm culture and so inviting. And we've had really great feedback from our mission of um, going to people's houses and sharing the gospel. And everyone is always very kind and welcoming and inviting, especially with mission teams as well. And yeah, it's a country that's been through a lot, and it has a lot of poverty, it has a lot of struggles, but it's also a country with a lot of Christianity as well. And I think that is just really beautiful. And it also impacts my story and my family's story as well. My um, great grandfather was Catholic, as a lot of Latin Americans and Nicaraguans. But then there was this mission called the Central American Mission. I think it came out of, um, not totally sure, somewhere in the United States. I think it was in the South or the Midwest. And these missionaries came to my great grandfather's town, and he became a Christian. And then my grandfather became a Christian. And then that just carried into my family. So for my dad and my mom to be able to step back into this place that um, is the reason why my dad's family are Christian, I think it's really, I just think that's amazing. I think it's beautiful.
It's really, really neat how God works. That's really special. And share with us also a little bit about your heart for your country and why judgments without understanding are hurtful.
Yeah, like I said, Nicaragua struggles with a lot of poverty, and it depends a lot on its tourism economy. But unfortunately, with like misinformation and ignorance and harmful stereotypes, people tend to see third world countries and Latin American countries as being really dangerous. And people think that they can't go there as tourists or enjoy partake in the culture. And not only we have this amazing culture, but we also have incredible gastronomy. We also have beautiful, beautiful beaches and lakes and volcanoes. If you're like an adventure type of person, I definitely recommend going. You can go volcano boarding and do zip lining and kayak in lakes and hike volcanoes, all these amazing, amazing things. But yeah, there's harmful stereotypes about Nicaragua, about it being unsafe or things like that. And it's also tricky to grow up between these two places and have people in the States or other people really well intentioned, but not totally understand. And I used to get asked a lot, like, oh, so what's it like living in Africa? I'm like, Nicaragua's not in Africa.
Right.
And there's unfortunately a lot of ignorance that exists. And I remember people also asking, like, oh, do you guys have internet down there? And wow, you have malls? That's crazy. And it's like, okay, you guys need to get out a little bit more. And there is a lot to see and a lot to know. But yeah, that can be harmful for people that live there and harmful to the country itself. And yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there. One, that's a strange place to be in for you to be like torn between these two worlds. And then two, like I living there, like my first cup of coffee was on the side of a volcano, like at 7 years old, and it was the best cup of coffee
yeah,
I've ever had. Like Nicaragua just has so much to offer. Riding horses on the
yeah.
beach. I
Oh,
can just
yes,
remember like ziplining through the jungles and everything. Like it's just so beautiful, and it really does have so much to offer.
it
What
does.
is like one of your favorite memories in Nicaragua? Somewhere that you went
Ooh,
to, like a trip, or somewhere that wasn't necessarily in Managua.
yeah. Well, experiences in Nicaragua, I've had so many. There's been so many incredible, yeah, hiking volcanoes and zip lining and swimming at the beach. I love the beach. I go all the time. And definitely, I have to say, there was this retreat that we did every year on Holy Week. And Rochelle can tell you more about it. It's one of our favorite memories. It was called the Vista Mar Retreat. And it was a retreat that happened once a year at the beach at this place called Vista Mar. And all of the missionaries from our mission is Resonate Missions. All of them would meet in Nicaragua um, at this one beach. So all of the missionaries from Central America. And we would spend a couple days at the beach and with kids our age and other missionary kids from Guatemala, from Honduras, from Costa Rica, from El Salvador, from our school. And the parents would have sessions and there was church service and there was sessions for the kids, which were really exciting. But we also just got to hang out at the beach as a bunch of missionary kids. And that was definitely one of my favorite childhood memories. One of my favorite memories growing up in Nicaragua was this time just being a kid. And that's the thing, it's tricky because you're a missionary kid, but you're also just a kid.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't feel like you're a missionary kid, it just feels like it's your normal life. And so this was one of those fun things of, you're just hanging out on the beach with your friends and boogie boarding and surfing and bonfires and sandcastles and also Sunday school and Easter egg hunts and just being in this. I remember thinking, wow, I am so lucky to grow up here because it's just so beautiful. And it was just an amazing, amazing experience.
I love that. You just like sum up everything that I want to share through this podcast so well. That was just so beautifully said. And can you share too, like how maybe you met the Lord during that time? And even though your parents are going and like talking with farmers and like doing all of that, and your mom's a teacher, how did God meet you and all of that?
Yeah, I mean, thankfully, I grew up, Christian household, and I also come from a long heritage of faith, which has just been an incredible blessing. So I grew up knowing the Lord, and my Christian education is very important to my parents. So I grew up going to NCA, Christian teachers, and it was a perfect environment for me. I really loved it, and I was able to meet people from other cultures, and it was just this very beautiful place to meet the Lord. And obviously there during my teen years when I was a little bit angsty, I was a bit mad at my parents. Why are we missionaries? And I have to grow up between two places and this is a little tricky. But honestly, I could not have asked for a better place to grow up and a better situation to grow up in because I was able to really see how God works and his love and get to know him through my parents' ministry and seeing their sacrifice that they made um, and their decision to, well, their answer to God's calling to be missionaries was just incredible. And yeah, God definitely met me down there and through my own personal struggles as well. And recently, with my parents hosting mission teams, I was able to serve as a translator. And I had like grown up obviously around mission teams and tagged along a couple times, but that's when I was very young. And so now, with my own faith and my own personal relationship with God, getting to work on this mission trip and be as a translator and kind of be a middleman and watch these relationships and these impacts that are happening, although they're very like ephemeral and short-lived, they're so powerful. And seeing the way that the people in the community are impacted and seeing the way that the missionaries, these people on the trips are impacted and watching my parents work. I didn't realize exactly what it looked like for my parents to serve up until that point. I was like, oh wow, you guys actually really do a lot and it's incredible what you're doing. And that has impacted me a lot, and it's been incredible.
Yeah, there's like a moment where it clicks like, oh, we're
Yeah,
like doing this and I'm a part of it, where it's like,
yeah,
whoa, God is so cool. But I had a moment like that too. I don't
yeah.
think it was like, I don't have a specific moment, but like recently I've just been like, oh, my dad, like, he works so hard and my mom just loves Jesus so much. And I'm like,
Yes.
oh my word, we've been doing this my whole life. Like, what the heck?
Yes. Yeah, I didn't realize. And as a kid, because that's the thing, as a kid, you're it's like, oh, it's just their jobs. My mom's just a teacher. My
Yes.
dad sells coffee. I don't know. Like, my dad had to sit us down one time and be like, okay, when people ask you what I do, you have to say this and this because who knows what their dad really does. Um, but you don't, I never like really realized. I was like, okay, yeah, my dad hosts mission teams sometimes and translating and he works with these people and everything, and my mom teaches at the school. But it wasn't until recently, probably like when I was, I don't know, 18, 16, that I was like, oh no, yeah, like no, this is like they're missionaries. I
Yeah.
forgot. Because growing up, it just feels so normal. But once you see the impact that it has on other people, yeah, it just kind of clicks.
For sure. Yeah, I was like 12 and one of my teachers was like, "Oh yeah, you're like a missionary kid, right?" And I was like, "What?" Like cuz you hear like missionary stories and they're like, "Oh,
Yeah,
they like saved a bunch of people and did all that." But that's like
yeah,
the end of their lives, the culmination of all the stories put together. And so, yeah.
yeah.
It hits you in the head and you're like, "Oh, okay." Well, to wrap us up, what is a piece of advice or something God has taught you that you want to leave with the listeners?
I would say that the mission field does not have to be a faraway place. It does not have to be a third world country. It does not have to be an exotic tropical place at all. Like your mission field is here and now. It can be your community, it can be your school, it can be your church, it can be your own country. And I think it's the place where you have to depend on God and the place where He will um, sustain you and support you. And it's not always the place with the most resources or the most comfort. It's just the place that He calls you to. And it can be today, it can be right now, it can be right outside your door. So I encourage people to find that place and find what God is calling you to and watch something beautiful happen.
Wow, there's nothing else to say after that. That's so good. Oh boy. Well, thank you so much for your time. Like, this was just so beautiful
Thank
to listen to.
you.
And yeah, thank you everyone for listening. See you next time.